haven't pointed out my onesie yet.
Maybe I will.
Or my footy pajamas.
You might have to show the feet.
Dude, look at this thing, dude.
Nice. Dude, you're going to have to show it.
We're showing it right now.
I know, but once we start the show, you're going to have to show it off, dude.
All right. You want me to welcome us?
Yeah. Kick us in. Kick us out, not in. Kick us off.
I've never heard someone struggle with that phrase before. Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of 410 Sports Talk. I'm Glenn Martin. I'm here with my co-host, James Haskell. And this episode, we're going to be going around the AFC North to visit one of Jimmy's all-time favorite teams, led by one of his all-time favorite quarterbacks, and take a visit to Cleveland to check out what the Browns have done this offseason to make themselves better or worse, either way. But that's what we're here to talk about. So I guess we'll start with the beginning of the offseason moves for them, and that is getting as it's kind of become a tradition in Cleveland to fire your entire coaching staff at the beginning of the offseason and bring in a whole new group. And they did again this season. So they brought over Kevin Stefanski, who was the offensive coordinator for the Minnesota Vikings. And they also brought in – do you have the name of the other two?
Yeah, the coordinators?
Yeah, the coordinators.
Van Pelt and Joe Woods. So Joe Woods is the D coordinator. Alex Van Pelt is the offensive coordinator.
Okay, and they also brought in their next GM, who is a Bel Air, Maryland, Bel Air High School graduate, Joe Barry, right? Yeah, so –
Andrew Barry.
What is it? Andrew Barry. You're right, Andrew Barry. So they got a pretty much an entirely new direction with their franchise. When you bring in a new GM and entire new coaching staff, this isn't Freddie Kitchens' team anymore. That's for sure.
I tell you what, they give the phrase staff turnover a whole new meaning and spring cleaning a whole new meaning, man. Every year you can count on it, like getting new socks and drawers at Christmas. The Browns are going to have a new front office.
Yeah, and it's kind of a, he's 37 years old, Stefanski is. He's a younger guy, which a lot of teams are going for that youth movement at the head coach position. And it seems like a lot of teams are going for an offensive guy rather than defensive, outside of maybe Denver bringing in, I can't remember the head coach.
Fangio.
Fangio, yeah. He was kind of the only defensive guy I saw getting any attention. So, yeah, I mean, look, I guess we'll have to wait and see about Stefanski. I'll say this, it's not the easiest year to start with a new team as a rookie head coach when you don't know what the offseason holds in store. So he certainly he's got a big hill to climb there. But as an offensive coach, I mean, tell the fans about who he's getting when he gets there on the offensive side of the ball.
I mean, I think it's crazy. We guys know who their roster consists of. Of course, OBJ, Kareem Hunt, Nick Chubb, Jarvis Landry, and then, of course, one of their key acquisitions is Hooper, Austin Hooper from the Falcons, and then also Njoku, of course, is the incumbent at that position. And then, they buoyed the strength of the offensive line. But really quickly, before I go too deep into that, one thing I want to mention about Stefanski is that I think something really interesting is that this year with Kubiak coming down to that offensive coordinator position in Minnesota, I think that offense is going to be, and we've talked about this off air, way better than it was last year. So to me, while people really like Stefanski, I think with the weapons they had, I know this sounds crazy, but I do think last year with Diggs and with Thielen and, that complement of that offensive line and Cousins and who's the running back? Fast kid out of Florida State. Dalvin Cooks. I think that if it was really Kubiak's show, I think they would have done better as an offense. So I'm not super high on Stefanski. I think his play calling is very predictable, and I don't see anything deceptive about it. But apparently the Browns like him. But they definitely did a lot as far as roster turnover. They didn't lose anybody detrimental, except I will call your attention to one name. Joe Schobert is gone, and I think that's an important piece for them. He was their middle linebacker, tackling machine. had a career high interceptions last year as well. Got a bag from the Jacksonville Jaguars, so you can't say no to that. But yeah, I mean, as far as the guys that I named on the team, and then the ones that picked up, you got any other names that I left out as far as players that he's going to have to work with from an offensive perspective?
Yeah, I think the Browns were really smart this offseason when you draft Baker Mayfield with the number 1 pick. You want to surround him with weapons to make him successful, and they certainly did that from a skill position. But I think what they failed to do last year was really support him with a good offensive line in front of him. That Baker Mayfield got the happy feet, and that showed. It really was detrimental to the team. It was forcing Baker to turn the ball over a lot more than he had in his rookie season. And so they went out and they grabbed one of the best right tackles in the league and getting Jack Conklin, who Ravens fans remember from that darn Tennessee game because he's a heck of a player. I mean, he played all 16 games last year. I will say this, he had injury issues in seasons past, and he also was suspended, if I remember correctly, early in his career. But he's since, last year he played in all 16 games. He's one of the better right tackles that you'll find, both run blocking and pass block. He can do it all. And then they went out and grabbed a left tackle in the draft. So it seems to me like they've they got Jedrick Wills out of Alabama. So to me, they got their bookend tackles. And then in round 5, they were able to pick up one of the best centers in the draft in Nick Harris. So they've invested a lot in the offensive line, which I think is almost just as important, if not more important, than having all those weapons on the outside, which we know they have. I mean, they picked up, obviously with Beckham and Landry, that's maybe the top tandem, if not one of the top tandems in the league. And then you add, some guys that are later in the draft but have some upside with Donovan Peoples-Jones out of Michigan, which when we were doing the live shows and we were on the clock in round 6, I thought we were going to take him just because of his size and speed and him being a Michigan guy and us being so familiar with them. But they ultimately decided not to. But, yeah, I mean, I think they did a lot to help their offense. Now, defensively, they've made some interesting decisions. I mean, I like that they brought in Delpit in the second round, the LSU safety. I think he could be a special player. He's coming off of an injury last year, but the year before last, he played absolutely out of his mind for LSU. And he played well last year. It's just he had to deal with a nagging high ankle sprain all season, which seemed to have hindered him a little bit. But they did lose Christian Kirksey. They lost TJ Carey. So they lost some guys that played a lot of snaps for them. And then they replaced them with a guy like Carl Joseph, who's a pretty talented safety, but he's more of a box guy than a coverage guy. So I don't know. I mean, I guess he'll help in a division that likes to run the ball so much. He could help, but he's also had a lot of injury concerns. And then they brought in Kevin Johnson, who's a corner that was a top pick a few years ago that never really turned out to be, I think, what everybody was hoping he would be. So defensively, it's going to be interesting to see. I don't think there's any doubt that they had the skill on offense to really be good if Stefanski can put it together. But defensively, I mean, they still got pieces. I mean, they got if Myles Garrett can stop swinging helmets at people, he's one of, if not the best outside pass rushers that we have in the league. He's certainly in the top 5,
especially at
everyone's list.
Especially at his age. Especially at his age.
Oh, unbelievable! So if he can stay on the field, he's everyone's top. He's in everyone's list as far as top 5 passer, and is higher in most. So he's phenomenal. But I mean, I don't know. I look on the defensive side, and I'm not that scared. But that offense could be something to deal with if Stefanski's the real deal.
Well, I want to talk about their main acquisition that you omitted because he is going to be getting some major clock by week 12. Oh,
I knew you were going to say this. Let me just spoil it for you. Case Keenum, right?
Keenum, you are right. Look, Andrew Berry is an extremely smart guy, obviously from Maryland, from the Bel Air area, also went to Harvard. Like you said, he is giving Baker Mayfield every single chance, but this is not his pick. Forget, this is not his pick. He's giving him every single chance to be successful, and Baker Mayfield's feet are to the fire. And guess what happens to little Baker Mayfield when his feet are to the fire? He's going to crack because he's been coddled and he's been babied and he's never had to tough it out. So he's going to crack, and he's going to start melting on national television. So I'm extremely excited about that because I don't like Baker Mayfield, period. You guys,
No kidding.
I'm a little emotional about it. But Case Keenum, calling it right now, week 12, he will come in the second half of the game. He will start coming out of halftime.
Oh, my goodness. Man, the Baker hate. I mean, look, but I'll say this. If he's not successful this season, unless there's a rash of injuries that just decimate the line or his skill positions, there is no excuses to not be successful if you're Baker Mayfield because, I mean, I don't see any holes offensively on their lineup. I mean, tight end, they're good. Wide receiver, they're really good. Offensive line now, they're good. I mean, running backs, they're one of the best in the league as far as running back rooms.
Yeah.
There's really no excuse. They went and got an offensive-minded head coach who, say what you want about, whether Kubiak might be overall better as a play caller and stuff. I think the guy clearly knows what he's doing. Now, I'll say this. I was a little perplexed about his usage of Dalvin Cook to start the season. His overall usage for that offense I thought was far too high when you looked around at the players around him with Cousins leading the way and having Diggs and having Thielen and Rudolph. I thought they overused Dalvin Cook early, and it cost him down the stretch with him being banged up. But look, I mean, he's got plenty of backs here if he wants to. The point is he likes to run the ball and play action off of it, and I think that'll help Baker feel more comfortable in the pocket, especially when you consider that they also added to the offensive line.
Right. Fair enough. I just think that the pressure is really going to mount. So because this is it. This isn't it for Baker. He's the number one pick, but this is a really, really big season for this guy's career, period. I mean,
because most people at the end of this year pick up their fifth option a year early. I don't know if he struggles this year if they're going to be so quick to do that.
Right. No, I couldn't agree more. So let me ask you this. Are you going to take the Browns? Are they going to be over 500 in your book?
They have to be. I said this last year too, so I guess they don't have to be, but as good as they were last year on paper, certainly on offense, they're much better. Defensively, I don't know if they're better on paper, but they were pretty bad against the run last year, and they needed to. So we'll see how they do against that, which I think could be a key for their season. But I don't see how in the world this is not a 9-win team. I don't see it. I mean, they got so much talent. Unless they have a crazy amount of injuries or this guy just cannot coach and he loses the locker room, I don't see how they don't win at least 9.
And so I disagree. I can see about 10,000 ways that they don't get 9 wins. I mean, look at all the previous seasons before when now expectations weren't as high, roster wasn't as good, but like you said, tons of people said this last year. Nothing can be. There's no known commodities as far as the coaching staff goes. Like they haven't worked together. Working for an extended period of time together, like our coaching staff has, counts for something. Especially, I mean, you said it, and you called me out on it in our first show. I said that there's a chance we could lose to the Browns. In fact, I said we're going to lose to the Browns in week 1, and it's going to be the best thing for us. And you're like, dude, there's no way we lose to a new coaching staff at home week 1 in a shortened off season. And you know what? I absolutely agree with that logic, and I think that it's going to have an effect long-term throughout the season. So you just don't know what's going to happen. It's just so hard to tell. So many variables in play. So I'm going to say they could end up 7-9.
Oh, my gosh. If you're right again.
I'm not going to declare it yet. I need some time to simmer and get a little closer to the season.
I do declare. Okay.
That's fair. But I will say that, let me ask you this question, and then we'll hop over to the Steelers here shortly. But do you think that so if they go 9-7, is that enough to make the playoffs? And are they second in the AFC North with that, or are they third to the Steelers?
Yeah, the Steelers are, and we'll get into them in a second. They're an interesting – I don't know really how to feel about them. So to me, I put the Browns as number 2 in the division behind the Ravens, and I think they do sneak in to the playoffs. 'Cause I think they're going to win more than 9. 9 to me is like you got to win 9 with this roster. Huh?
Don't tell me that's their floor, Glenn. Don't you dare.
To me, that's their floor.
Oh my God.
To me, that's their floor. I think they're a 10-win team ultimately, and they could get. Look, if Baker Mayfield returns to his form that we saw in his final season in Oklahoma, and his rookie season where he set the rookie passing touchdown record and didn't even play in the first 6 games. If they get anything like that, how are they not a 10-win team? When you look at the fact that they already have an established running attack and running room, their offensive line is light years better than it was last year. I mean, their tackles were not good. And now they have their first-round pick is a left tackle, and one of, if not the best, he's up there in the top 5 discussion for best right tackles with Conklin. So, and then the receiving core is crazy, and I know it's just off-season and it's just talk, but Odell Beckham is doing a lot of jibber-jab how he's feeling. This is going to be his best season ever. He's in the best shape of his life. He's finally, I don't know. And then they make it their tight end the highest paid in the league. I don't know how this isn't a 10-win team.
Yeah, I just want to speak to that Odell comment, and you guys, once again, can blow me up the comments with you want. He's working out hard, and he's doing his little thing. I guarantee you Marlon Humphrey is going to overpower him just like last year, get in his grill, get his paws on him. He's going to hate it. He's going to hate it. I love it because he's such a diva, and I love when Marlon Humphrey just gets in his grill because it's football. This is not basketball. This is not a finesse sport. It's football. So I'm not denying his talent or anything like that, but he's gonna have to get in the weight room a little longer to catch up to old Marlon Humphrey, and so I'm sure he's lifting them weights as well. So I'm excited. So you're saying floor 7-9,
9-7,
9-7, floor 9-7. Wow. Got burned last year, and you're going to double dip?
Well, look, they were 7. I think they were 6-10 last year. To me, that was an extreme disappointment. Extreme for that roster. So I don't know how with this much of an improved roster. I don't see how they don't make a big step up. They should have done it last year. So there's no excuse to not do it. Now look. Both of us did not like Freddie Kitchen going into the year. So we both agreed that he was probably going to be the source of their collapse because he's not going to have – and he lived up to that. I mean, the guy was wearing shirts with he started it. He's not a leader of men. He's just not. He's a coordinator at best and certainly never should be a head coach again. If this guy knows what he's doing, Stefanski, I don't know. I think that they could be a team that is going to be someone who's going to be a pest for the Ravens to have to deal with.
All right. Well, this is what I'm going to say, Glenn. 9-7, okay, is according to you their floor. If they are, I think that they're probably going to end up 800 or 800, 8-8. Sorry, 500.
Okay.
I had the number 8 in my head, but
800. That's a heck. What's that? 12-4? I don't even know.
If they are under 9-7. I want you to show off what you got on right now, and you buy me one.
All right. Yeah, look. You ever seen a man over 6 foot tall in footy pajamas? That's right. Hold on. You got to get these.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And let me tell you, it's not the most comfortable because I think it's made for someone who's 6 foot, and I'm like almost 6'3", so it pulls on the shoulders, and it doesn't help my already poor posture. But, it's quite warm, I'll tell you that. And let me tell you, now that I'm an adult, because when I was a child, I used to wear a ton of these, and you got to be careful with the zipper. And let me tell you, as an adult, I don't make those mistakes. I take my time. I focus. I use 2 hands, okay? I don't try and freestyle with 1 hand on that zipper. There's precious cargo, okay, on it.
Oh, God. But look, if they go below 9-7, I want one of those in the mail the day after. All right?
Okay. All right, that's fair enough. All
right, so those are the Browns. I mean, so let me just tell you really quickly. I think they're going to end up second in the AFC North, but I think it's going to be by default, and we'll get into the Steelers here in a second. I think they're going to be 8-8 at best. I think that is going to be the record.
We got a crappy division.
8, huh?
You think we have a crappy division, huh?
I'm just not sold on the Steelers, and I think that the Browns are going to implode. So, yeah, guys, stay tuned. We're going to get to the Steelers, so make sure you subscribe. Check out the Bengals one as well, where we talked about that. We're going to continue with our AFC North roundup here, and we will be back soon.
See you.